Good afternoon, I'm Steve Hensley. First at 4, a developing story in Laurel County where police are searching for a woman they say has been missing since last night. Laurel County Sheriff's deputies say Holly Parsley was last seen walking into the woods on London Dock Road around 6 yesterday evening. Police say there are several agencies actively searching for her. Their biggest concern is the terrain in the area where she went missing. Of course, we'll continue to follow this and have updates as they become available.
Well, happy Friday, almost to the weekend. Well, some good news and bad news. Good news is most of us have been dry today. Bad news, others have been dealing with those heavy downpours. We'll go ahead and take you to a few of those cameras looking at Interstate 64 in Moorhead. They've definitely been on the drier side. We've really seen that trend over the past couple of days, seeing those partly cloudy skies over there. But now we're starting to see here in Perry County some of those showers and storms, just those isolated showers and storms popping up. You can see that on top of Buffalo Mountain. So satellite radar started out the day pretty good, but then those pop-up showers and storms continue to impact the mountains as we head into the rest of those evening hours. Really, you could see some of those in two parts of Leslie County. You could see in Perry County, even into parts of Letcher, down into Harlan, and even into Bell County as well. Really keeping an eye on our friends in Harlan County. You can see just west of the city of Harlan, there has been a flood advisory issued. So that goes until about 5:15. So definitely could be some localized flooding in that area, especially along that Bell County into Harlan County border where they've just seen some rain over the past, it really seems like hour or so. Now checking out those temperatures, definitely cooler in Harlan where they're seeing those rain chances, but mid to upper 80s, maybe some spots into the 90s. But as we head into the rest of this evening, good news is we'll see them diminish a little bit as we head into the rest of tonight. We'll talk about that weekend forecast and more rain chances on the way. I'll have those details coming up in just a few short minutes.
All right, Paige, thank you. The protest continues into day 5 in Harlan County as black jewel miners remain in place, blocking nearly 100 rail cars of coal from leaving a black jewel mine. An auction for black jewel mines began yesterday in Cincinnati and we're told continued into today. There is also a bankruptcy hearing in West Virginia Monday morning. The community has come together to support these miners along with several local and state lawmakers. We'll have much more coming up later tonight. It has made world records for the largest picnic. Preparations are underway for the annual Fancy Farm picnic, but it comes with a huge side of politics, and some would argue it's the main course. WIMT's Phil Pendleton is in the tiny western Kentucky town that attracts thousands every first Saturday in August.
It is at least a 4-hour drive for most in central Kentucky, but every year people come from all corners of Kentucky to Fancy Farm, Kentucky, a tiny town in western Kentucky, for everything that this community has to offer. Pork and mutton are slow cooking and it'll be ready for tomorrow to feed an estimated 10,000 people. The annual event will see many turn out to hear political stump speaking by the two candidates running for governor, attorney general, and other state races, but it could also offer somewhat of a preview of next year's U.S. Senate race. Now, when they're not hearing the typical feisty political speeches, they'll be munching on 20,000 pounds of meat that's been slow cooking over hot cedar coals.
Tomorrow, about 8 o'clock, they'll start selling the mutton. We'll cook it all night until, it gets done about, 5 o'clock or so. We have another group that comes in, it keeps it warm, takes it off.
For all the heat and all the anger and all the emotion that you have at Fancy Farm, it's also a great time. There's going to be super barbecue. There'll be people meeting each other from all across the Commonwealth, and it's very special for our state.
Admission to the picnic is free, but the food and drink comes at a cost, but the proceeds will go to the St. Jerome's Catholic Church, its various missions, as well as the community of Fancy Farm. At Fancy Farm in Graves County, Phil Pendleton, now back to you.
Always wanted to go one year. Each candidate is only given a limited amount of time in their speeches tomorrow, usually from 5 to 8 minutes. Hundreds of people had to leave the Amazon Fulfillment Center in Lexington this morning after fire officials said a package started emitting vapor. At least 6 people required medical attention after reporting burning in their eyes. A full hazmat crew was at the scene and tests are being run to see what substance is causing the issue. At last check, 500 people had to leave that location. In Tennessee, 11 officers at the Shelby County Jail were decontaminated after fentanyl was found on a man being booked into the jail. The deputy sheriff was taken to Regional 1 Hospital in non-critical condition. The other 10 deputies were later also taken to the hospital as a precaution after undergoing decontamination. All 11 deputies were released from the hospital later in the day yesterday. Officials say additional charges are expected against the man who is being booked, 38-year-old James Hubbard. The Kennedy family is mourning following the sudden death of Saoirse Kennedy Hill, a granddaughter of Senator Robert F. Kennedy. Police responded to the Kennedy family compound in Hyannisport, Massachusetts yesterday about a call of a possible drug overdose. The family confirmed that Saoirse died but have not said how. In an op-ed for her high school, Saoirse described her struggle with depression. She also encouraged others to be open about their mental illness. The Kennedy family said in a statement their hearts are shattered by the loss. She was only 22. After more than 30 years, the U.S. has officially withdrawn from a nuclear pact with Russia, raising fears of a new arms race. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo made the announcement on Twitter this morning. The nuclear pact dates back to the Cold War. The U.S. claims Russia has been building and testing intermediate-range missiles in violation of the treaty since 2014. Russia is blaming the U.S. for the breakdown and has accused the U.S. of trying to destroy all international agreements that do not suit them.
We can't be put at the disadvantage of going by a treaty, limiting what we do when somebody else doesn't go by that treaty.
Washington reportedly plans to test a new missile in the coming weeks that would have previously been banned. It is unclear if the U.S. will extend or replace the only other nuclear arms agreement between the U.S. and Russia. That measure, called the New START Treaty, expires in 2021. The U.S. economy added 164,000 jobs in July. The unemployment rate remained at 3.7%. Wages ticked up 3.2% from a year earlier. The pace of hiring has slowed to an average of 140,000 new jobs per month during the past 3 months. Employment gains were powered by the fast-growing professional and business services and healthcare and social assistance. The White House is downplaying the effect President Trump's latest tariff announcement will have on American consumers, while China promises to retaliate if the president goes through with the threat. The president threatened to add 10% tariffs on an additional $300 billion worth of Chinese goods after negotiations between the two countries broke down. The tariffs would affect consumer products from China, including clothing, shoes, and electronics, such as smartphones.
The stock market reaction is reflecting the fact that the large parts of the manufacturing sector and the retail sector and other sectors that have been doing a lot of business with China in both directions are going to have to reset their expectations.
The White House continues negotiations with China next month. The Commerce Department says the U.S. trade deficit with China fell 7.5% in June to $30 billion. So let's see how all of this played out on Wall Street today on this Friday afternoon. Not as bad as the last couple of days, but the Dow still closed down more than 98 points. The talking season continued this morning for the annual UK Football Media Day. Mark Stoops and his coaching staff previewed the upcoming season, and one of those talking points was Eastern Kentucky native Cash Daniel, who has become the face of UK football. WYMT's Tommy Poole has more on Cash from Lexington.
It seems like just yesterday when Cash Daniel was suiting up for the Paintsville Tigers for the first time. Now, a few years later, he's going to take Kroger Field for the last time as a college athlete.
Yeah, it goes by quick. In a snap of a finger, you can go from your freshman to your senior year. So definitely, for anybody out there watching, definitely, take advantage of it and have fun with it because it can go by just like that. But yeah, it's fun.
How could he not be having fun? The team captain drew quite the crowd during media day, with even a few teammates flocking to the scrum.
Just seeing, JG.
With the Wildcats losing Josh Allen, the senior will be asked to fill a bigger role, but Coach Mark Stoops says Cash just needs to continue doing what he did to make Big Blue Nation fall in love with him.
Cash just needs to be Cash. He's very passionate. He cares about winning first and foremost. I think that's obvious to our team. So he's a great leader, and he's authentic, and we'll continue to rely on him.
Well, Cash has always been a leader.
It's a big role, it's a big responsibility, but I got big shoulders for it.
The pride and joy of the mountains is ready to take that head on. He is excited for another season. While he doesn't give expectations, he knows one thing, that this Kentucky Wildcat football team is going to be a force to reckon with. Reporting in Kroger Field, Tommy Poole, WYMT Mountain News.
And we'll have more coverage from Media Day at 5:30 and 6. Straight ahead here on First at 4, we'll take you to the Osborne Brothers Hometown Festival in Leslie County.
And while a few rain chances continue this evening, this weekend forecast, well, still looking pretty good. I'll have those details coming up.